Well, I guess to kind of start off with the introduction of Billy for all those shows. That must be kind of the closest experience to, coming out for a football game. It's such a lively entrance. One of the best in musicals is.
Yeah.
What is that like? I mean, you've been doing this for a couple of years now. Does that still have that thrill?
No question. When I wait underneath the stage and that song comes on, there are some little nuances in the song where I hear like the chimes and, and the horns and getting into character, getting amped up, and it's like being shot out of a cannon. It's nothing like it. And when I hit those stairs, it's like I just transition into the character. And Billy Flynn is alive, full and well. It's like he's being conjured up from the depths of the abyss, I guess. And he's there to do his thing. And I just let it go. So absolutely, the nerves are there, the presence is there, the energy is there.
When you were working with folks like Reverend Carr and like God's Trombone way back in the day, did you ever envision doing Broadway, doing Shakespeare? Did that ever come into play?
That was the goal, working with Jeff and many years ago. We wrote down some goals that I wanted to accomplish, and getting to the pinnacle of Broadway and beyond was one of those things. And lo and behold, with a lot of setbacks, a lot of questioning and doubt and fear and taking chances, and a lot of work and diligence and patience and perseverance and persistence, I've gotten to this point. And, with the same type of work ethic and the same focus and the same blueprint, would love to get consistent work and do a little bit more. So the goal is to tell stories in an honest way that need to be heard and to be a conduit of the truth. I think that, it's easy to stop at, well, it's about me and I want to be a superstar and all this and that. Well, that's cool, but I have to have a higher calling, a higher purpose, and I'll reap the benefits from that, from a monetary standpoint, from a recognition standpoint. But ultimately, it's to inspire others, it's to have people think, it's to bring light to a certain issue, it's to inform one another, it's to move somebody to a calling in their lives. If somebody can leave a show and have an open dialogue about an issue in their own home or their lives or whatever, you're just shedding light to what's happening in American culture, what's happening in every household, whether it's facing doubt or death, or transition, facing things that are happening in our communities that affect us in every day. So that's what you're bringing light to, and I'm just the conduit for that. And I hope I do it enough justice and honor and bring truth to it that people don't necessarily see me. They see an actor telling a story, and they're moved by that.
How, with that kind of as the sentiment, how special was it to do A Raisin in the Sun?
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that was very much it. Sidney Poitier's made that role famous. There's several other actors that have done A Raisin in the Sun. I've seen it on Broadway. It's something that you learn I've learned in middle school and junior school. We read that play and dissected the play and what it meant for American culture in that time frame. What it meant to be an African American male in the late 50s, early 60s, and even today, how those same parameters are there. For African American men, how they view themselves, how they view the world, how they see the limitations, how we see lack of opportunity in some areas, and how far we've come. So a lot of that stuff still is prevalent today, and it resonates. So as an actor, and taking on the story, I relied on a lot of sense memory. I've relied on personal stories from my father, from my uncles, from other mentors, other stories, and tried to really make it a rich performance that was very organic. So no, Raising the Sun was a great experience for me to go through as a human being and certainly as an actor.
Is there any role that intrigues you or that you'd love to tackle next? Anything that you're hoping to catch on to?
Well, the one that I'm focused on now, I just finished doing Richard III,
Wow.
a reading of it with the Nashville Shakespeare Festival. Would love to do a performance of that, to have the opportunity to explore the language of Richard and to really humanize him to the point where he's a despicable human being, but there has to be something endearing and charming that people gravitate towards. So to explore that was a lot of fun. Top Dog, Underdog is a play that I'm doing now. I did it a few years ago with Reverend Carr, and I only had a chance to do it a couple of times, but I want to do it in a series of runs and really have the opportunity to allow that character to grow on a nightly basis and to go through that process. And I'll be playing Lincoln this go around. So the next role that I want to do is the one that I'm doing now. Yeah.
I've got to ask, when the team moved from Houston to Tennessee, did you ever imagine that Nashville would become so important to you? You've become a huge figure in that city. And it's become, I mean, when we think Nashville, we think Eddie George. I mean, you were there with the playoff hockey, the soccer team announcement. I mean, I think when people think of that city, you're one of the first names that pops into mind.
Well, I never envisioned that the city would be as exciting a destination in a million years. When we first got there, I was looking for reasons to leave. I was flying to Atlanta, New York, L.A., Houston, any chance that I could get. But it wasn't until the last decade that really Nashville has become a destination of sorts. It's a tourist attraction, with country music. It's world renowned. You got people from all over the world coming to Nashville, and it's continuing to grow. So economically speaking, the development has been off the charts. There's been something north of 30 cranes that are up right now. And to be a part of that, the growth of Nashville and the Titans being a part of the fabric of the new Nashville, and being a part of that has been wonderful. So I've watched it grow. I'm growing along with it as an actor, as an educator, and as an entrepreneur. And I just want to help it be progressive, but also maintain some of its the Southern charm, that it doesn't get too far out there in terms of becoming more of like an Atlanta. Atlanta has its own identity. I think Nashville wants to keep what we have and try to grow responsibly. So I really have enjoyed watching the city grow and growing along with the city.
I've got to ask, since there's so much singing for this role, have you ever thought about doing an album or doing something like that fun? And
I would love to do a duet with my wife because she's the singer. She's in SWV. She's still touring. That's something that I try to pick with her. She said, "Nah, not quite here. You can hold a couple notes here and there, but we have to wait on that album." But I never really thought about an album, though. No, I haven't.
What'd you think of Derrick Henry's performance the other night?
I thought he was tremendous. I could see elements of that coming over the last few weeks. It was running with a lot more sense of urgency, a lot more force, imposing his will on defenders, daring them to tackle him, given his size, and you could start to see, him having this type of day, for 3 weeks ago. Because he had a couple of opportunities here and there, but those opportunities was like, whoa, it was eye-popping. So once he got that 100-yard run, I think he just went off after that. You know, he got into that zone. And I think it's a day that he needed for himself. I'm glad he had that day, because prior to that, people were down on him and they wanted to trade him. They couldn't quite understand why he wasn't getting enough carries and this and that. Couldn't try to find a fit within the offense. And the night that he had was absolutely one for the ages.
If you get to take home a Tony one day, where would it be on the mantle next to, you know, the Heisman or Rookie of the Year? Or, I mean, you were this close to a Super Bowl, inches. Where would it stand in your mantle?
Whew, you know, that would be phenomenal. I mean, honestly, you think about it, to go from one, I guess, pinnacle to the next. If that were to happen, if I had the opportunity to be in a position for that to happen, would be amazing. I mean, that would be the top. I mean, just to get from one place to the next, whether you win it or not, it's truly remarkable. And it goes to show, for me, you know, my faith and not myself, but in God and his plan, and yielding to the Spirit and allowing the talents that I've been blessed with to take me to another place that I couldn't foresee, you know. And it's just a true testament of faith. You know, faith is taking that step when you can't see the whole staircase. You know, that's what Martin Luther King says. I mean, and I firmly believe that. So the goal, or the end goal, wouldn't just be to win the award. It's realizing, like, man, you know what, I'm now viewed as, or I'm now doing something in a different field that's similar to what I did on the football field. So that would be tremendous.
It'd be crazy if Richard III got you that experience.
Man, that would be Richard's a mean man now. He's a bad boy. That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Do you still get nervous?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you've done so much. Where do the nerves come from? Is it the fear of failure? Or is it the fear of, you know what, like?
It's you coming alive. You know, you can't worry about failure. There's no such thing. I mean, you go out there, what makes you fail? That you forget your lines? Okay. That you flub on a word? All right, that's human. If you fall down the stairs, that happens. I mean, so really, what is failure? You know, if you're prepared and you work at it and you let it go, and you trust the process, you trust where you're at, you trust the other actors, and you go out there and let it go, then you're doing what you're supposed to do. So I don't necessarily get caught up into if I fail. You know, I get caught up into what if I succeed. You know, that's what I hone into. So the nerves that's there lets me know that it matters, that it's there. So I channel and I use that and I channel that into the character. That's the character coming alive in me.
What does it mean to you to have athletes recognize you for what you're doing now on stage? Because I think following you on Twitter is hilarious. So many people are like, I got to see Eddie last night and he was brilliant. That must be refreshing. It's something, I mean, everyone knows your accolades on the field, but to do this for over a decade now in the acting world on stage, and like Ballers especially, what does that mean to you that you've been able to venture into another field? And you've done it in every avenue with your company Edge, and also your every step you make, it seems like something clicks. What is it refreshing that every time you've been able to do that?
It's gratifying. I guess it's confirmation that I'm walking in my power and I'm walking in my purpose, so to speak. Because a lot of these things wouldn't happen if it wasn't meant to be. And I like to say that I can take credit for a lot of it, but I can't. Again, I just work on the things that I can work on. That's my attitude, my effort, and my focus. And given an opportunity to work on a role or a play or a film, I'm going to treat that, no matter how big or small it is, with the ultimate respect. Like, this is my opportunity. So I try to bring my best self and operate in a spirit of excellence in everything that I touch, in everything that I do, whether it's on stage, whether it's in the boardroom, whether it's at home as a father, whether it's watching TV, whether it's playing PlayStation. I'm going to operate in an excellent spirit, regardless of where I am. So I guess it's just trying to live my best life regardless of what I have and where I am and what I'm doing in that moment. So that's what I attribute that to.
You've got a movie coming out, Brother's Keeper, which was about Abilene high school football, just around the corner from Dallas.
Very familiar, yep.
That's such a powerful story. Tell me a bit about getting to be attracted to that role and what excited you about doing something like that.
Well, I played the father of one of the main characters, and his father. My father had some of the same struggles as my characters. In terms of abuse and trying to have a relationship. Now, I will say this: my father was involved in my life even when he wasn't there. That makes sense. He had such a strong influence on me, and I wanted nothing more than to have that relationship. And I had a wonderful relationship with my father. Given the time that we had, he had his struggles. He was trying to, find the next high, but I loved him so much, and I prayed for him. I would give the world to see him off of the drugs, and he is. But I drew a lot off of that experience into this role, and I wanted to honor that with showing that, we all have our demons that we deal with. We all have our issues that we deal with, but love prevails. And he is trying to have that relationship with his son, but he's also fighting those demons. And we can be judgmental. So, man, you should get off the drugs, and you should do this, and you should be there for your son. And how can you do that? Well, I get it. I get it, because there's strongholds on everybody in every form. It can be in the form of illegal drugs, legal drugs, women. It could be in the form of gambling. It could be in the form of abuse. It could be anything in society. So it's to empathize with that character, and it's to love that character and to say, man, you know what? I get it. So that's what drew me to the role. Not a big one, but hopefully enough that it tells that story, and it's a true story about a kid wanting to have that relationship with his dad, because I was that kid that would look up in the stands to see if my father or my mother was there. That was really important for me.
What does it mean to you that you've been a good father? You've been there for your boys, and you've been a mentor for a lot of players. I mean, that Ohio State legacy, I think, is one thing with running backs like Zeke and Chris Johnson, all those great guys that have followed you. Is that one of the reasons why you've been open to people reaching out to you in that level? I'm open. Yeah, absolutely open for anybody that wants that. I don't offer that. I don't say, hey, you need to do that. No, I sit back and I watch, I observe. And if they have questions or if they want to seek out wisdom from me, that's great. I'm open for that. And my door will always be open for that. I don't know if I am a great father. The only way I can assure that I'm going to be a great father is, first of all, by being a great son and honoring my mother and my father. That's it. That's what I would tell my sons. If you want to be a great husband, a great father, be a great son, be a great friend, and that will translate into that. So I constantly am working on how do I communicate with my sons now that they're getting older? How do I deal with this issue? Do I speak or do I stay quiet? Do I allow them to fall on their face or do I get in the way? So there's constant balance of how to mentor and help your children grow, because I'm going to make mistakes as a dad. I'm not going to have the answer all the time. That happens.
But if I'm diligent and I stay open to all the possibilities, and I tell my children to keep God first, and you'll never go astray.
I'd love to kind of end things by asking, what do you do for fun? Like, what do you read? What do you watch television wise? Like, what keeps you calm?
You know what? A couple things. Play PlayStation. Just got a new PlayStation 3 for college football 14. That's the only game I play. Currently, right now, I'm using Old Dominion. That's my dynasty. First season, we're currently 3-0. Not ranked yet. I don't care about rankings. We're finding out who we are. Our offense is lethal. Our defense is playing well. So I'm really happy about that. I DJ as well. I'm currently reading Michelle Obama's book, Becoming.
Yeah.
Fascinating read. I mean, sometimes, you know how you get some books where you got to force yourself to get through the chapters, and it's like, okay, I just got to get through 10 pages. This book, it's hard for me to put down because it's so wise, it's well written, and it resonates with me because she's becoming something different after her experience of being the first lady, and she's finding out who she is. She talks about her struggles. She talks about how her marriage suffered, and that she's not perfect, dealing with people talking about how she's a man or how big her butt is or whatever that is, all her so-called imperfections, and becoming the woman that she is. I mean, it resonates with me on all levels in terms of who she was in becoming into this new being. Like for me, coming from the football field, becoming an actor, an entrepreneur, a father, and all of that, it is a wonderful read. So that's what keeps me calm, is reading, spending time with my children, traveling, playing golf now, and more seriously, getting my golf lessons, and taking the time to learn how to smoke a cigar. That's the key. Just taking the time and sitting back, smoking a cigar, and really relishing in that moment in time. And that's taking a moment to appreciate, to reflect, to be thankful, to have gratitude, to allow new ideas to come in and old ideas to flow out. That's how I like to spend my time.
Well, hopefully next time we chat, you'll have conquered Richard III, and you can have a cigar to that.
Man, we both can, right? Yeah, with a nice glass of tequila. Nice.
Eddie, I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.